Today we're going to be talking about 7 things that people who have divorced wish they had done differently when they were married. Now, this is taken from an article run in Best Life Online that referenced a quote from me, and I loved the article so much. I thought it would be so relevant as we start this new year, 2023, so that we can prioritize our marriage and focus on the things that are most important. So let's talk about 7 things that divorced individuals wish they had done differently while they were married. Now, I value those who can humbly look back. They say hindsight is 20/20, right? And recognize possibly mistakes or shortcomings or things that they might have been able to change in order to have a different outcome in their marriages. So this list was compiled by a journalist by the name of Lauren Jarvis Gibson, who writes for Best Life Online. And the first thing that she says married couples wish they had done differently. Number 1, learned how to communicate more effectively. So effective communication is such an important part of a healthy, thriving marriage. Now, the thing about communication is a lot of people will go to therapy and they'll learn some communication tools like repeating what they heard from their spouse or using I statements or making sure that they're looking into each other's eyes, like those types of listening skills. However, communication goes far beyond just speaking. So we are communicating in everything that we do, whether we're talking about our verbal communication or our nonverbals or our paraverbals. Everything we do communicates something to our partner. So when we're rolling our eyes, or when we're looking down at our phone when our spouse is trying to talk to us, or we can't take our eyes off the television for 5 minutes to listen to something maybe very important that our spouse has to tell us, all of those things communicate something to our partners. Another big way that we can communicate to our spouse is whether we get excited when they come home and we greet them at the door and tell them how much we miss them and how excited we are to see them, right? If we get ready for date nights and we kind of plan our day around it so we have plenty of energy for the one who is most important to us, right? All of those things communicate, you are important to me. This marriage is important to me. So yes, it is important to learn good listening and good speaking skills. You don't have to be an eloquent speaker or a great listener even to communicate. You can do that in so many different ways. So that's number 1. Number 2, and this is a big one, people who are divorced wish that they had shown up better in their marriage. Now, this is something I talk so much about. So it's very fitting that this reporter chose to quote me in this section of the article, because how you show up in your marriage is so important. In fact, everything I teach about emotional intimacy and physical intimacy has to do with your thoughts and your emotions and how you show up for your partner in the marriage. Now, it's so much easier said than done. Of course, we want to show up for our partner in our marriage. However, depending on how we grew up, on the influence of the most important adults in our life as we were growing up, past relationships, we have all of these different ideas and experiences that color the way we show up. So one of the most important things that we can do to improve and strengthen our marriage is to learn about how all of these different influences affect the way we show up as a spouse. Now, learning about this is a lifelong pursuit, because once we become intentional about who we are and how we show up for our spouse, then we really start to write our happily ever after love story. But if we just live our lives on autopilot, then we're probably not showing up in the most effective way. So my quote in this article is, when your spouse feels like they are last in line for your attention, resentment forms and kills any chance of intimacy. That was my quote that was featured in this article. And it's so true. People won't remember what you said or even how you said it, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And if your spouse feels like that they're very low on your list of priorities, they become extremely resentful. And then it's hard for them to show up in the marriage, as well as you are giving off that energy that they are not as important as many of the other things. And that breeds resentment on both sides. And resentment is the number one killer of intimacy. So if you're feeling disconnected from your partner, you may try noticing how you're showing up for them. And that will give you a great indication of how you are really doing in your marriage. Now, number 3 that people wish that they had done differently, not having to be right all the time. Now, you hear it said, I'd rather be happy than to be right. And that actually has a ton of bearing on marriage, because the truth is almost any disagreement in your marriage is a matter of perspective. So it's not even that someone is actually even right all the time. It's just that you have 2 different perspectives, and learning how to collaborate in your marriage rather than constantly compromising or having one person be right and one person be wrong is a huge, massive skill that I work on with my couples every single day. Effective collaboration not only will bless you in your marriage, but is also so very helpful in the workplace and in any partnership. So whenever you're working with another person, having to be right all the time is exhausting, and it's very off-putting to anyone who's trying to work with you. A better way of going about different perspectives is to try to understand the other person's perspective and then collaborate using both perspectives so that neither of you is right nor wrong, but you can come up with something even better than the 2 of you originally could have come up with on your own. So that's a big one. Number 4 is letting up on constant criticism. Now, criticism is one of John Gottman's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Now, John Gottman is famous for being able to predict with 91% accuracy whether a married couple is going to stay married in the next 7 years after listening to them talk to each other for only 15 minutes. So after studying hundreds of couples in his Seattle-based Love Lab, John Gottman recognized patterns in couples that ended up in divorce and couples that stayed happily married in the long run. And the amazing thing is that the predictors of divorce are not what you would think, but there are certain lines that go through happy versus unhappy couples. And one of them is constant criticism. If you're critical of your partner, chances are you are on the road to unhappiness and eventually divorce. Now, don't be afraid if you feel like you're very critical in your marriage right now. There are lots and lots of ways to learn how to undo this unnecessary viewpoint of your partner. And that's why I love leading 7 principles that make marriage work workshops, which I actually got certified to lead over the break. So I will be announcing several workshops in the next couple of weeks that I'll be doing this year in different cities around the United States. So stay tuned, because you don't have to be married to somebody who's critical, and you don't have to be critical of your partner in order to get the things you want in your marriage. So number 4, very important. They wish they hadn't been so critical. Number 5, another big one that I talk about often, is they wish they had had a better understanding of the 5 love languages. To be very clear, I am not a huge fan of the 5 love languages, because I think having an overall overall understanding of what the love languages are and how to show your partner love in each of the 5 love languages, especially the ones that they understand and prefer, is a very important part of having a good, healthy, thriving marriage. And I talk about it a lot in my courses, but I don't put too much weight on the 5 love languages because I do think that it's just another way to have unrealistic expectations of your partner, to be sad when they don't show you love in your love language. But when you're aware of what those love languages are and how you can use them to show your partner love, it goes a long way and is a powerful force for good in your relationship. So moving on to number 6, they wish they had appreciated their partner's hard work. Now, this is a huge, important tool in marriage: gratitude and appreciation. So showing gratitude for your partner, no matter what their contribution is to your family. I guarantee that your partner is contributing to your marriage and to your family in some way. And being able to recognize and appreciate those contributions is a powerful tool that happy couples know, understand, and utilize. So anytime you can say thank you to your partner for something that they've contributed, even if it's a very small thing, you are making little deposits into their emotional love tank, which comes in very handy when conflict arises in your marriage. If you've been critical and you've overlooked their contributions, that doesn't fare well when you get into challenges and changes and conflicts. But if you've been mindful of your partner's contributions and you've been grateful and appreciative, then those conflicts and challenges are going to go much smoother for you. And last but not least, number 7, taking your commitment seriously. Now, it goes without saying that marriage comes with a lot of hard work. Nobody accidentally falls into a fantastic marriage. It's not luck or any other magical, fateful thing. It's not like you married the right person and then you're going to have this amazing marriage. Marriage is full of work and intention. If you are intentional and if you're willing to put in the effort, not only to love your spouse, but to confront yourself and your own weaknesses, to accept influence from your spouse, to invest time, energy, and financial resources into your marriage, you will be successful in this area of your life. Anything worth having takes some effort. So if you're committed to your marriage, even in the tough times, even when your partner is sick or having a bad day or not changing out of their pajamas, you will experience the joy that comes from that commitment, from working at something that is absolutely worth your effort. So thank you again to Lauren from Best Life Online for quoting me in this really cool article that came out on January 1st, 2023. It was a great way to start off my year with a bang. But when I read the article, I also recognized it as an important tool for married people to learn from the mistakes of those who have divorced and realized what they might have done differently when they were married to maybe not have the outcome that they did. I promise you that the absolute best investment that you can make this year is in your marriage. Not only will it bless your life, but it will also bless the lives of your children and grandchildren for generations to come. Now, if you feel like your parents didn't have a great marriage, or maybe anyone close to you showed you an example of a great marriage, you have the opportunity to be the transitional character, which means that you change the outcome for your lineage. I know that's my goal, as my parents divorced when I was 12 and their parents divorced. It's very important to me to be the one that breaks that tradition in my lineage and hands down to my children a great blueprint of a healthy, thriving marriage, that it is actually possible to live happily ever after with the first and only person that I choose to spend the rest of my life and all of eternity eternity with. It doesn't have to be a slog. It's actually so much fun when you prioritize your marriage, when you get intentional about the way you show up, and when you invest time, energy, and financial resources into learning how to be a great spouse. I guarantee there is no better thing that you could invest your time and energy in. There's even research to show that happily married couples not only make more money and live longer, but also report being happier in general than their single counterparts or those who are in strained relationships. So if you're ready to improve your marriage, I want you to go to monicatanner.com and check out some of the tools and resources that are there on my website. I've also opened up a couple of slots for coaching starting next month. So if you would like to chat about the possibility of starting one of my programs or coaching with me, reach out to me on any social media platform or just email me at moni@secretsofhappilyeverafter.com and let's get the process started. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. And until then, happy marriaging.
To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next